Today, we're going to jump into a really cool story from the Panchatantra, an ancient collection of Indian fables. And trust me, this is more than just a story. It's a kind of puzzle, one that really makes you think about the difference between just seeing something and actually understanding it.
So let's just kick things off with a big question, one that's really at the heart of this whole tale. What do you think the real difference is between being smart and being wise? Go ahead, think about it for a second, because we're about to see that very question put to the test in a pretty dramatic way.
You know, the story itself gives us a fantastic starting point. It says, knowledge is basically the what. It's the facts, the information you collect. But wisdom, well, wisdom is the how. It's knowing how to use all that information with really good judgment. Think of it this way. It's one thing to know a road exists, but it's a whole other thing to know when and how you should travel down it.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off on a long, dusty road headed towards the great city of Ujjain. And on this road are four young, ambitious men who are hoping to completely change their lives. So here they are. Ram Datt, Shiv Datt, Har Datt, and Dev Datt. I want you to picture them. They've been on this road for 10 full days. They are tired, they're dusty, but they are absolutely determined. Their eyes are just locked on the city in the distance, because for them, that's where all their dreams are going to come true.
So what's the big plan? Well, it's pretty bold. They're heading to Ujjain to get a meeting with the king himself. They're completely convinced that if they can just get 5 minutes in front of him, he'll be so impressed by their talents that he'll hire them on the spot for top jobs in his court.
But you know how stories go. Their journey is about to take a very sharp, unexpected turn. As they're walking along, they notice something on the ground. Fresh camel tracks. A tiny little detail that is about to cause a huge problem.
And just like that, a man comes running up to them. He's out of breath, he looks frantic, he is clearly in a total panic. The four friends can tell right away that he's lost something incredibly important. And, well, based on those tracks they've been seeing, they've got a pretty good guess what it is.
You can just hear the desperation in his voice, right? His camel, which is probably his entire business, is just gone. So he asks them the most logical question in the world. Have you seen it? Their answer, though, is going to be anything but logical.
Okay, this is where the whole situation flips on its head. The four men tell him the truth. Nope, sorry, we haven't seen your camel. But then, one after the other, they start asking these unbelievably specific questions about the animal, questions they have no business knowing the answers to.
First up is Ram Datt. He just casually asks, "Hey, by any chance, is your camel lame in one leg?" The merchant is totally surprised, but he nods. Yes, it is. How in the world could this stranger know that just from looking at an empty road?
Before he can even process that, Shiv Datt chimes in, and is it blind in its right eye? The merchant's surprise just turns into pure astonishment. Yes, exactly, he says. I mean, this is getting really strange now. Two details, both impossibly correct.
And it doesn't stop. Har Datt adds the next piece to this bizarre puzzle. Tell me, does it have a short tail? At this point, the merchant is completely blown away. These guys are describing his camel perfectly, down to the last detail, as if it were standing right there with them.
And then Dev Datt delivers the final, almost unbelievable clue. He asks if the camel has been suffering from a stomachache. And that's the one. That's the detail that's so specific, so internal, that it flips a switch in the merchant's head. He goes from being amazed to being deeply, deeply suspicious.
And right here, the story takes a really dark and dangerous turn. Because in the merchant's mind, there's only one possible way they could know all this.
He just explodes. And honestly, you can kind of see his point, can't you? He's furious. He thinks, how could they possibly know all this unless they haven't just seen the camel, but they've actually stolen it? All that wonder he felt a minute ago, it's gone, replaced by pure rage and accusation.
But check out the reaction from our four friends. They don't freak out. They don't even argue. They stay perfectly calm and just agree to go with the merchant to see the king. I mean, they wanted an audience with the king. They're about to get one, just not exactly in the way they had planned. Their confidence is incredible. It's almost like they know something nobody else does.
So now, the scene shifts to the king's court in Ujjain, and the stakes could not be higher. We're talking about their entire future, maybe even their freedom, hanging in the balance.
I want you to just imagine the tension in that room. You have this massive, magnificent hall, a world of power and luxury, and then you have these four guys, covered in dust from the road, standing there accused of being common thieves.
The contrast is just, wow.
The merchant makes his case to the king, and the charge is laid out officially: theft. The king orders the 4 men to be brought forward, and they do. They walk up, they bow respectfully, still as calm as can be.
The king's voice booms through the hall, and the official hearing begins. And this is the moment of truth. How are they possibly going to explain themselves? How do you prove you're innocent when all the evidence, all this impossible knowledge you have, seems to scream that you're guilty?
And this is it. Standing right there before the king, the 4 men finally reveal their secret. It wasn't magic, and it certainly wasn't theft. It was wisdom. The wisdom of paying incredibly close attention. Ram Datt speaks up first. He explains, "Your Majesty, I knew the camel was lame because I saw that the footprints from one hoof were much lighter than the others." Then Shiv Datt adds, "And I knew it was blind in its right eye because I noticed all the leaves on the right side of the path were eaten, but the leaves on the left side were completely untouched." Har Datt goes next. "I saw little drops of blood on the road with insects all around them. That told me the animal must have a short tail that couldn't swat them away." And finally, Dev Datt explains, "I saw that its front feet were planted firmly, but its back feet were sort of dragged. That suggested it was in pain, probably a stomachache." You see what they did? They didn't just look at a dusty path. They read the story that was written there. And that, right there, is the difference between just having knowledge and truly being wise. The king, of course, was absolutely amazed by their incredible powers of deduction. He didn't just set them free. He offered all 4 of them jobs in his court. Their wisdom literally paved their way to success. So it kind of leaves us with a final question, doesn't it? In a world that's just overflowing with information, how often do we look, but fail to truly see?